Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the Culture podcast with Kyle and Alexander, and formerly Mikayla Alexander, but now Dr. Mikayla Helsper. So for you people that don't know her, she is now a chiropractor. And I've known she wanted to be a chiropractor since like eighth grade, freshman year.
Yeah.
So let's just start with why you wanted to be a chiropractor.
Okay, so I grew up knowing I wanted to be a doctor of some sort. It started as a pediatrician because I knew I wanted to work with kids. And then through dancing and just my life, my own experiences, I started seeing a chiropractor when I was 12 years old. Come to find out, I have scoliosis, which means my spine's a backwards S. And then I just saw how you can use chiropractic and the adjustments to positively impact someone's system, and I saw that you could do it to babies and to kids, and I mean, I was a kid myself, and it flipped something for me to where I didn't want to do anything else. I never wavered on what avenue I wanted to take. I just knew that was what I was made to do.
Yeah. This is, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, how old am I? It's a little longer than that.
Longer than that, but yeah.
25 now, yeah. So.
Yeah, that's crazy that you knew like way back then.
Yeah.
And like you said, didn't waver, because a lot of people, what they wanted to be at 12 years old, that shit is long gone.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so like for a chiropractor, what type of schooling do you have to go through?
Okay, so I started at UMKC because I was a commuter. I didn't want to leave my brothers. I wanted to be able to be close and be there for them. But I did just my prereqs in the science realm at UMKC for that first year. And then they didn't really know, the advisors didn't really know what to put me in to be accepted into chiropractic school. So then I started looking elsewhere. So then I found Cleveland Chiropractic College, which was in Overland Park, Kansas. Started talking to their advisors, and they said, hey, we have a concurrent program. If you started here for your second year of schooling, you would just have a couple more classes to take, and then you could go ahead and start the Doctor of Chiropractic program while also obtaining your Bachelor of Human Biology. So that's not normal to do. Usually you can just get accepted into chiropractic school with a 4-year bachelor's degree. Okay. But instead I just decided to take roughly the 8 years of schooling and just smash it into 5, because I was like, well, this is what I want to do. Why go get a degree here and then
that's
so
rough. That's rough. And so I know just a little bit about it, but like how did they set up the chiropractic part? I know you did 2 different things, but how did they set the chiropractic part up?
Okay, so it's year-round schooling for roughly 3.5 years. So we're trimester based. So we would go like 3 months on, 2 weeks off, 3 months on, 2 weeks off. So, I mean, you didn't really have a life for that time. You would fit in whatever you can in the 2 weeks. But I also filled my weekends with a ton of extensive adjusting seminars, because that's what I really wanted to be good at. Obviously, you should should want to be really good at your art. So, just push through.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And then there's the 5 boards that you study for.
You have 5 boards?
5 national boards,
Okay, so what are like the different boards?
So after your first year of chiro school, you do part 1 boards, which is like your basic sciences. There are 6 parts to that, and it's all written. Yeah, that was a tough one. And then there's part 2, part 3. So part 2 is still like your next year of schooling. Part 3 has more clinical in it. Okay. We have a physical therapy board that we have to pass, and then part 4 is the hands-on practical part. So you're putting all the things that you know, and then you're actually like setting up adjustments. You're doing like blood pressure, like all these different things practically that they're gonna assess you on, which was very intimidating. Yeah. It's like going to a room with an examiner in the corner and they don't say anything. There's like, you got like on the door what you're supposed to do when you go into the room, and then you perform it, and then no one talks. Then you move on to the next room and then hope you pass. Oh, and there's like a ton of x-ray schooling too.
Just imagine like you do something, you hear just in the corner.
Right. You would try to read their faces, but during that time it was COVID, so we were all masked anyway, so it made it even more like you're sweating, you can't breathe, and you're like trying to read their eyes, and you're just like, all right, God, please let me pass.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Especially like how many people like that or you came across, like, did what you did and, like, smashed shit together?
2.
How many people?
And one of them's one of my best friends, Larissa.
Like, how many people did you go to school with?
Like, in our whole school or in my class?
Yeah, like, in your class.
I want to say there was like 50 of us, but people can, like, you can split tries and stuff, because of course, like, people had kiddos or they're getting married, like, there's life happens, so we were in like 30 credit hours at a time, like, so you really, I mean, you're in school 7:30 to 4:30 every day for the time that you're there, Monday through Friday. So yeah,
that's great.
Didn't really do things the normal way, but why waste time, you know? If that's what I knew I would do, the faster I get it done, the faster I get to be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
That's kind of my mindset, so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Doctor at 25. That happened to a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't know how to take a compliment.
Do you feel, I mean, I know you do, but do you feel like even more accomplished because you did it in such a short span of time?
I mean, I feel accomplished, but I think that at any phase of life, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I was happy because, I did it in my goal time, but my experiences in my life aren't the same as somebody else's, whereas someone comes back as a second career and they finish it, like, that's even cooler. Like, they decided, I'm going to just not do this anymore, and I want to come and I want to be a chiropractor. So, I mean, I feel accomplished, but I also acknowledge that, like, this is only my experience, not everybody else's too. So.
Yeah, everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously, so we go back. So this is my chiropractor now. I just had my first 2 adjustments this past week.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to talk about, like, the evaluation part. Because I thought that was, I was explaining it to other people, and I was like, that shit was cool to me. But, like, I'm a little bit of a science nerd, so, it's different for everybody, but it was cool to me. So kind of like go about how you examine somebody and figure out what you're going to do.
So even from the start, when it starts paperwork, I believe that the body was made as this incredible thing that heals itself. And so I want people to start acknowledging, not only do I want to address your physical self, like what you're coming in, if you got the aches, the pains, but I also want to draw attention to the other aspects that are working for you. So it's diving in right away from trauma, toxins, and thoughts. So traumas are like, it could be all the way from birth trauma. It could be, last week I did this, or I was an athlete and I never did, rehab like I was supposed to. And then you've got your toxins. So that's like what we're putting in our systems, what we're eating, what we're drinking. And then the thoughts are the emotional stress. So it's okay, what am I reading every day? What am I looking at on my phone? How long am I scrolling on my phone? Yeah. What's my self-talk? And so whenever I'm doing the evaluation, that is a huge component for me, because I want you to start looking at yourself as a whole being, and I don't want you to just focus on what you feel is wrong with you.
Yeah.
Because that in itself starts shifting the paradigm of what health for you as an individual can be. And so then we move on to the scans. Is that what you're talking about, the insight scans? Okay. So the CLA insight scanning system is something that I didn't know about in school, but the more I read about it as I graduated, and I was like going to open my practice and stuff, I wanted an objective way to measure health for babies and moms, because pregnant mamas, you can't obviously x-ray, and then babies, you're not going to be x-raying either. Yeah. And so I just wanted this objective measure. So it has 3 components. It has a rolling thermal, so it's measuring hot and cold. It's letting you know where inflammation is within your spine, and kind of just gets the wheels turning of like, okay, if there's inflammation there, why is the body trying to heal that part of the spine? And then you've got your muscle activation. So it's going to read how much tension is in certain parts of the spine versus others. Again, kind of indicative of maybe if your body's overworking in this tense state over here, it might be compensating for something. And then the last one is HRV, which is heart rate variability. That's kind of your adaptability to stress. Yeah. It's a 3-minute scan where it's just taking your heart rate, and it's kind of going to let me know how open and available your system is to accept change and adapt to what is going to be put into it. And I think it's really important to realize, like, that isn't just the only thing that I'm basing care off of. It's only a tool. It's a tool in the toolbox. It's something just to be able to have objective to look at the progress going through the care plans and stuff. So I don't know. I just really wanted that objective measure, so that way I can see how you're functioning, not just feeling, because sometimes those aren't necessarily the same.
Hand in hand, I was explaining to somebody I work with I already forgot what you called it. The finger one.
Yeah, heart rate variability.
Yeah. So like literally you just put it scans 2 fingers. But so you put your fingers in there, and like you said, it's 3 minutes. And I was trying to explain to him that I didn't know exactly how it worked. I was like, I don't know what it does, but it scans some shit and it tells you, like you said, how your body adapts.
Yeah.
But like when right before we did it, we were talking about like mental state and stuff. You were saying that like the more like negative, like pessimistic, kind of basically.
Just stress in general.
Yeah, just stress in general, and like how you deal with stress. And the more pessimistic you are, the slower your body adapts.
It's
to
more
change,
resistant to change.
Yeah.
It's more resistant to and then even when something does come in, the body's not available or ready to adapt to it, so it makes it tough for healing to occur.
Yeah.
And like especially like with kids, I have like a finger sleeve, or I put it on their earlobe. And again, it's not even like it's deciding whether or not your body can adapt to stress, because your body can. It's just also just measuring. It's a good way to measure how the recovery can be. Yes, because we want to tap in, like I showed you like on your chart, on his chart and stuff, like we have 2 zones. We have this parasympathetic and we've got the sympathetic. Those are fancy words for saying we are always in a stress state and we're in this fight or flight. So if something makes you mad, you're reactive, or you're just so tense and you're in this fight or flight. And then parasympathetic is what a lot of people have a hard time tapping into. And those areas are your resting, digesting, where the healing can occur. And there's different parts of the spine, up here by the neck, and then lower where your tailbone is, that bone. Those are your parasympathetic regions. And so oftentimes you'll see that's why babies either have blowouts whenever they are there, because we're kind of waking up that nervous system in the resting and digesting, or they sleep really well, or just adults too, because we're adjusting the neck, we're tapping in to this Zen zone. And that's where I want people to just experience life. That's how I want to walk through life, because if we're always just in this like stressed out state, I mean, think about all the things you'd be missing. Your brain can't just it can't take in everything. It can't adapt to what's going on as well.
So you kind of just set up the transition. So one of the questions I did have was about like children and babies, because I didn't know that until you said it the other day. You were like, I adjust babies all the time. I was like, I didn't know you could do that. They're so cute and fragile.
Oh, they are, but they're so resilient. They're so great, babies. And we are so loaded in this world with so many toxins and stuff. So even with kids, and right now with the iPads and all the things, like everyone's looking down, like this curvature of this neck, it kills me looking down, and like their chins are to the chest all the time, like no one's opening their shoulders, no one's looking up anymore. But babies, the birthing experience is the most incredible, beautiful thing like that our bodies can do. Like how cool is that? You literally grow a human and then they're here. But the process getting here, whether it's C-section or vaginally or whatever, there's some trauma obviously to mom, and there's some trauma to baby, because you're pulling them out by their noggins, and that's a lot of pressure on their neck. And so even if nothing's going on, you don't have to have a physical ailment to get adjusted. And so I always like to tell mamas hey, if you want, this is some information about chiropractic, and it's always about that misalignment in the top of the neck, especially when it comes to breastfeeding or bottle feeding, if they're not latching correctly, or if they're colicky. There's just all these things that, not as a chiropractor, I can't fix it or I can't cure it, but why not try something naturally? Why not try, hey, if they're not pooping, let's just see if this adjustment helps, because I'm not going to tell you it's going to work, because every body is different. And they're going to receive it differently. But I err on the side of I feel like trying something naturally without drugs or surgery is something I value a lot, and it could save money in the long run. So instead of masking the symptoms, it's nice to get to the root cause.
Yeah. So one of the things, I lost my train of thought.
Babies. How do you want to know how I adjust them though?
Yeah. Sure, let's go into that.
Let's just go on that because that threw us off. So how I adjust them is I have pregnancy pillows for mamas where their bellies, so they can lay on their belly. There's like cutouts, and so I just lay the little nugget on there and kind of just check them out. I know, little nugget. They're just like these tiny little beings. It's so incredible, and they're facing me, so like baby's head's here. I literally just put my hands right under where their little hips are and let low their SI joints, but we may not know what that means.
Small, like the
low
small
back.
of their back.
Yeah, low back. And I'm just feeling. And I'll just feel what I feel. And if it's not moving, then I'll kind of just hold. And so to adjust a baby, it's literally the pressure that you would check a ripe avocado. That's the pressure I'm using.
Okay.
So yeah, you're just holding. And they're fun. Like if they don't like it, they'll let you know. They'll kind of just like wiggle out of it, but then they finally lean into it because they realize they'll like melt. And that's when I know the adjustment kind of happens, because it's like when you put your finger on a stick of butter and then it melts into it. Yeah. That's when I know I'm like, okay, job's there, done. Like, and then I'll just move up the spine and I'll hold them. They can lay on mom, dad, whoever's there with them. And then I just turn the pillow around on their neck. I use my pinkies and I literally just hold. I feel what I feel, and then I'll just like hold and I'll melt. And then if they got tongue tie or lip tie or anything, like I kind of just will check their palate. I've got like a little finger sleeve, check their palate, see if it's, you know, dropped or if it's arched, and then I can refer them out to who they need if I feel like maybe there's something else going on. Yeah. Can it help adjust head shape? Like there's just different things that you can do, but ultimately it's getting them clear and connected, so that way they're learning life, right? They're perceiving all these new things, so it's like, why not let them live a clear and connected life, and then while they're figuring it out. Yeah. So
that's cool. There's really no, like, cause that's one of the things just in my experience with chiropractors, like, because now I know you won't like this, but I mean, because a lot of people actually go to chiropractors that they're just like, hey, I'm gonna crack you.
Yeah.
Like they don't take any scans or anything. Yeah. Like it's just like, hey, let me feel your back and pop. But like how do you determine like what needs to be adjusted just by feeling? Just by feeling.
Okay, so this is like where in school you train your art, right? Like you want to be the best at what you do, and so you put as much time into it as possible. And you don't have to take scans or x-ray to be a good chiropractor. What I think makes a good chiropractor is whenever you have this person on your table, you're able to, you see what you see, but you're not giving them a cookie cutter adjustment. You're not literally going in to whack and crack them. You don't want to stack them and do we call it the flying seven, where you're just like cracking everything up the spine, flip on this side, neck. Like there's so much more to it if you just look a little bit deeper. Yeah. Whether that's through movement assessment, all the things. So when someone's on my table, everything else is going out the door. Like I'm not thinking about what I'm having for dinner that night. I'm not thinking about the stressors of my life or anything. I'm literally just looking at them and listening to what their body's telling me. Yeah. And I have some like tonal checks that I'll do, but it ultimately comes down to, like structure. That's what we're trained to do. Like if something's not moving correctly and things, I kind of check in with the system, see if it's ready to receive the adjustment. Because I'm never going to adjust into something that's not ready. Like if your muscles are fighting me so hard, what good does it do me trying to slam into something or like try to fight your system? Like, because then it's not going to receive it and it's not going to integrate it. And then we're going to have that same pattern. Your body's going to learn, hey, I don't like it when she does that. So every time I go to do it, your system's going to guard. And that's literally the exact opposite of what we want. We want to unwind. We want to untense the system, so that way it can start integrating and hold different neural patterns to the brain to be like, oh, this is cool. This is what I want. Like, yeah. So I don't want to fight you.
Gotcha. Okay, so I know there's got to be a lot of people that like chiropractic care is fake.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't do anything. So do like an elevator speech to like how it helps you. and that it's real.
Okay, so if someone's like, hey, what do you do? I'm like, well, I assess the nervous system. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, through these really cool adjustments, I'm able to connect with you and your nervous system, kind of reset, so that way your body is no longer traveling from A to B like this, but it's A to B. It's an instant messenger system instead of snail mail. So your body's this incredible roadmap, and instead of taking it, you know, the roundabout way, we want you to go GPS route. And they're like, okay, so what do you do then? I'm like, well, I'm a chiropractor. And they're like, well, how do you do that? And then it just gets the ball rolling. So that's usually how I start it. And then I'll tell them, oh yeah, and I adjust kids and kids, babies, and pregnant moms. And then it just like usually blows their mind because they don't know that that's a possibility. And so I tell people, I'm like, I know that I'm not for everyone, but no one, like, that's gonna happen. And I love that people have found their chiropractors, or they haven't and they do think it's fake. I'm like, you know what, to each their own. I'm not here to really change your mind. I'm here to literally just spread what I love and what I believe in, and I'm not expecting you to believe in it too, you know? Do I think everybody should experience it? Absolutely. Or they've been to a chiro and then they had a really bad experience. And so it's just like, if I'm not the provider for you, that's okay. Like, it's not gonna hurt my feelings, but I want to find that person for you, chiropractically. And so I'm not afraid to be like, okay, hey, if that's what you prefer, I know a friend over here. You know, there's so many chiropractors out there. I'm like, hey, I if you're in a different state, I'll find one for you. Like, I'm okay with not being everybody's person. But I just think that everybody should try to at least experience it in a light of not getting whacked and cracked.
Like, okay, so one of the things that you also told me is that, like, you don't have to pop when you get adjusted. The noise. People get really caught up on the noise. Like, so the noise is literally the gas around the joint capsule. And so, of course, when quick force is going into a particular area, it can make noise. But the difference is like, oftentimes, there might be some noise. People are scared with it with their neck, so then I have different techniques to where I can at least get some neural input into the system, you know. But it's not indicative of the adjustment. And I always joke with my patients that love the noise that they're like, I'm like, you're crack addicts. I'm like, who trained you to be like that? Because it's like, if I adjust you, like, and that's what when people say, hey, I want to get cracked, I'm like, oh, you mean adjusted? Just because it changes the terminology, because just because it's making a noise doesn't mean that the adjustment isn't or is happening. Because think about when I adjust kids. They don't pop. It's not making a noise because, I mean, yes, the force is very, like, not like what I would use to adjust you. Like, I'm not going to adjust the baby the same way I would adjust you, right? Like, it wouldn't make sense. But, they're not popping all over the place. So. Okay, so let me just preface all that, or finish all that by saying, so I had 2 adjustments this week. I want to say I felt a pop like once out of all the adjustments you did. So, but I could tell, because I had a back-to-back days, but I could tell the difference. Like, just from, I was like, damn, like, I don't feel the need to pop my neck, because I would pop my neck like 10 times a day. And okay, so speaking of that, what are some things that people do that shouldn't do? Give me like your top 3, because you can probably be here all day talking about that.
My main one is to not self-crack. I don't even call it adjusting, because chiropractor adjusts. Like, don't pop yourself. Like, of course, if you're stretching, if you're stretching here, you're stretching, and things make the noise, it's okay, because, again, like, the noise isn't necessarily indicative of an adjustment, right? And so I wake up and my ankles, my knees, all of it's popping all the way down the hallway. But like cracking your own neck, oh my gosh, it makes me cringe when I see people do that, because I think I told Kylan this, but it's like, you've got these joints, let's say in your neck, and you're going to crack your neck because you feel the need to. But instead of adjusting what needs to be adjusted here, you're adjusting the segments above and below. So you crack your neck, and then you like you said, an hour later, I feel like I got to do it again. It's because you're now making these segments more unstable. So they're getting more mobile because you're just whacking and cracking basically yourself all day. And what needs to be addressed is this main misalignment here, or subluxation. And that's where my job comes in, because I can feel it, put enough force into the area that needs to be in, and then the tendencies go away. Yeah. But this is just going to become more and more stuck or stable, because now we're creating so much instability everywhere else in the spine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
she got on me about that. And then, like you said, the twisting, doing the popping your back twisting, that's definitely a no-go.
Yeah, I mean, people do it, and that it's creating instability in other segments of the spine that maybe doesn't need to do that. So I mean, yeah, but stretching is one thing. Like, you can stretch, I do yoga, you know, all these different things, and I'll hear a pop, or, you know, here and there, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but I still get adjusted twice a week myself too.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew, cause I mean, you know this, but like I got in a wreck in October, and I knew I needed an adjustment for so long. I just never went. And I knew it was stemming from my back injury and then my hips, and I knew my hips were.
You just needed a good tune
toasted. Yeah, good tune up. And she got me right. I was feeling, my hips were feeling good, and then yesterday I busted my ass at work and landed on my hip. And so that was.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that next week, huh?
Yeah. I had something else left my mind. But okay, so we'll just go into the. Actually, I want to backtrack a little bit. Yeah. So when we were talking about the finger scan thing, what's it called again?
Heart rate variability.
Heart rate variability. Okay, so we were talking about that, and like you were talking about, like how some people, if they think a certain way, they're less receptive. But then we were talking.
Usually. This is all loosely. Yeah. Like usually, what we see are the more stressed people. Yeah. Are the ones that are having the hardest time or feeling the most pain.
I got you. But then, like, so that kind of, we were just talking in conversation about like us and how we are when it comes to, you know, like being optimistic and being very zen. You use the word zen. No, I mean, I like the word zen. So that kind of transitions us into mindfulness. So like we were talking about, you were saying that Dylan calls you his hippie.
Yeah, his modern day hippie.
Yeah. So like we talked about meditation and yoga, and is there something else that you said that you do besides meditation and yoga that I don't remember?
Journaling? Was that it?
I don't think so. Maybe not. I thought it was something. You listed off some shit and I just don't remember.
Yeah. Just like practices that.
Okay, so I haven't meditated in a while, but I do enjoy meditating, and I would like to get back to that. But I want to hear like what your process is when you meditate, because everybody's meditation is going to be different for the most part. Slightly.
No, it is, and it should be, right? Because it's your own thing. Like if you're doing it out of expectation or you're doing it for somebody else, then it literally defeats the whole reason as to why you're sitting there to clear your own mind. Mindfulness is something that I started practicing 2.5 years ago, and it started on my mission trip for chiropractic. Actually, it was all women's mission trip, and we meditated every single morning together. And so I actually just started it from there, because meditation is very hard. Like you have to be able to, when your mind starts to wander, bring it back. And so like my process is when I'm feeling really overwhelmed or the unknown, like there's always fear of the unknown, right? And then so like opening your own practice, like all these things, there was a lot for me this past year that I was working through, and then just like the whole world, right? Like the whole world was in a state of crisis, and I was trying to figure out, I'm like, I can't give this space of healing for people if I don't even have it in myself. So I started there, and it's calming the mind. So I have like on my phone I have an app, I can't remember what it's called, but it has like the ding, and so it like starts my meditation. You can sit on the bolster, whatever you're feeling, and you just try to quiet the mind for at least 2 minutes. You start with like 2 minutes, and then you go into longer bouts of time. But it's just calming the mind. And then you can do like guided meditations, like there's stuff on YouTube and stuff. That's kind of easy to start with too, because
I can't do the voice.
Well, it's more so just reminding you, like, hey, what do you think about
to bring it back.
Bring it back. And that's what I mean. Yeah, if it's like too much, I'm like, then I start thinking about like, why am I doing this? And so you've got to find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like you just have to practice it, even if it's for a minute. It's a minute to yourself for that time that you're doing belly breaths and you're just calming your system. You're getting into that parasympathetic. Like you gotta find that. And I think it's important too, like, I love kids, and I love helping parents, and I love helping like new parents into their transition and stuff of having their babies. And so I always tell them, if you can't tap into this, then how you train your brain is going to be how you're going to react to situations. So if you can train your brain, like you work your brain out the same way you work out your muscles.
Yeah.
So like you played football, I'm saying that I danced. So it's like, would you just show up on game day without practicing?
Nope.
Right, and I wouldn't.
Unless you're one of the best athletes to ever do it.
And even then, there's been practicing.
They still,
they still even if there's like natural athleticism, that doesn't come without practice.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you expect your brain and expect your reaction or your body to be one way, you've got to work it out.
Yep.
And so, because when you're in a state of crisis, what it's gonna act like is going to be what it's practice.
Yep.
So what is the practice? Is it self-talk?
It's going to fall into habit.
Yeah. Is it negative self-talk? Is it I'm not enough? Is it the doubtfulness? Is it the pessimism? Like, that's what it's going to resort to, because if you didn't practice it and you didn't bring it up and work it out, those neural connections aren't strong enough.
Oh yeah, it's repetition of but yeah, so that kind of I want to talk about my process. Like I said, yours is different, and you kind of like do a few different things.
Yeah.
I have two ways of doing my meditation. The first way is the cooler way. So when I have to be sitting in a chair, like I can't do it laying down. I can't do it with like sitting down with no back.
Yeah.
I have to be in a chair with a back, and even having arms like makes it even better. But so like, I close my eyes. I'll always do 5 minutes, no matter what. Close my eyes, put my hands, lean back, and like my first breath, like my mind kind of goes black, and then I just like pop up on the beach. Like with my next breath, I pop up on the beach, and it's like this weird thing. I have an affinity for water, so I'm just sitting on the beach, and then when I inhale, the tide comes in, but like when it hits my feet, the water goes water goes up my body to the top of my head, and then when I exhale, it goes back out.
That's so nice.
And so, and like I probably couldn't do it now because I haven't meditated in a while, but like I could almost like time it to where like I just felt about when 4 minutes was, and so like I would do that, and then I would get out of my chair, like in my meditation state. I would get out of my chair, and I would walk into the water to where like I'm fully submerged, and then I would just like almost not curl up all the way, but I would kind of like be in like a state like that. Yeah. And I would just like float in the water, and like a weird thing. Like I could feel all of this happening. Yeah. And like, so I could like feel like the water move me, and like my head would kind of like move. And that's so cool. And then my timer goes off like right at the end of that, and I just come out of it. And I was like, that's my way of doing it.
But it's so cool, like that you can do that with your mind, because the mind is seriously so powerful. Yeah. So for you to feel like you're actually feeling it, that's exactly what you want.
Like even like getting up and walking part, like I can feel like my leg, my legs aren't moving, but I can like feel my muscles like, and then so my other way is if I need to like flip, like trigger my mind, like if I need to get over something or I need to act a certain way, like literally I just 5 minutes, and I will just like inhale and repeat a phrase and exhale. Inhale, repeat a phrase and exhale.
Is it like affirmations? Or what?
No, not even. No, it's like like the last time I remember doing it was it was something with a girl that was bothering me.
Yeah.
I was talking to her and she said something that bothered me, and so like I just did that 5 minutes, and like the next time we talked I was like, hey, I'm cool with that. Like,
oh, cool. Yeah. So it's a reset.
Yeah, it's just a reset.
Yeah. Yep. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then so that kind of took me to one of my friends. And he's, I don't want to say he's borderline pessimistic. He's somewhat like realist, but he's more towards pessimism than optimism.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between the realist and pessimism.
But like, so one of the things, he said this to me multiple times, is like he's like, well, you're just like so optimistic. Like, I can't think like that. And like, we both know
you can't.
I did not start right here.
No,
like,
you
it's taken me years to get to this spot.
Yeah.
When I tell people I'm always happy, they're like, bullshit.
Like, whatever.
No, like I would say literally anything could happen, and my mind would not go to a dark place. And I mean that's taking a lot of work.
Right. And it's not even that's like necessarily the wrong or bad thing either, right? Because I think all feelings are super valid, and you feel them for a reason, right? Yeah. But it's how you come out of it. It's how you have trained yourself to get out of it. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the support in the world. You can have your people, your circle. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, it's what you're connected with, you know, who you're connected with, you know, whatever belief systems you're within. You got one body, you got one mind. And so it's like, why not take care of it? So, that's where I lie too.
Yeah. And like, it's because we're there, like, it's like one of those you just kind of like lay back and relax.
Yeah. And I'll say I have, like, I even would say you're more there than me, because there's even moments like I'm constantly having to work and remind myself, because I do remember you like that. Like, even when you're in my office, like, I can tell just how happy and how content and everything. Yeah. You could just feel it. And so, I mean, because I'm still learning. I think it's going to be an ever-evolving thing for me. And it's like you said, it's going to be a practice. You practice, or you just practice the rest of your life, really. Like, because, I'll have days, especially in this past year of the unknown and all the different stuff going on. Yeah. And I feel like people they're looking for connection right now, and they're realizing this doesn't serve me anymore, and they want to let it go, and they're trying new things. And so, actually, I think the light is at the end of the tunnel, where people are starting to accept and be okay with choosing a different way of living, or trying to be healthier, you know, whatever that looks like for that person. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. One of the things I always preach is, like, so the beginning of kind of where I'm at now is, I don't remember exactly when I heard it. It had to have been like from Gary Vee or Russ or some shit. But like, that self-love, to me, self-love is the base of everything in life. Like, that's really when I started opening up to really everything. And like I said, it took time to get to different levels. But I really feel like truly 100% that self-love is the base of everything.
And I feel like there's like two categories to it too, right? Like, people hear self-love or treat yourself, and they think it's this luxury or something. No, it's not. It needs to be a thing. It needs to be a real thing. Like, of course there's like luxury in anything, right? But then there's also, like, for young women in today's world, I didn't get Instagram until I literally think it was like the summer of junior year, right? So like, and now, you know, you've got all these kids on this media, and they're being told they have to be one way or another. And I really resonate, like, with the women of the world. I'm like, you should look like this, or if your kids aren't doing this, if you don't look like this when you're pregnant, if you're not doing this or that. And I'm here to tell you, like, you don't have to be anybody but yourself. You literally you're beautiful you're beautiful with makeup, you're beautiful without it. If you've got stretch marks from having a baby, warrior marks. You grew a human. Like, be proud of yourself. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to bounce back. Like, this pressure, this social pressure, even on young kids. I mean, mental health in my family has been hit really hard. Even through the years, you know, past years, we've had a couple cousins commit suicide. And so it's just like, even now, I can't imagine, like, what if media was even alive back then, like it is now? It makes my skin crawl, because I'm like, it has to start here, and but like, there's this pressure with all this media, and so I just hope people realize that the world is so much more, like, connect with nature again. Like, I do sound like a hippie or something, but it's serious. Like, go put your feet in the grass, like, ground yourself, like, look up, like, seriously. It's hard. It's really, really hard.
Like, okay, so we talked about, like, being zen and, like, being happy, but, like, to really put it in perspective, look at, like you said, ground yourself, look at everything around you.
Right.
And this is not meant to be in a disrespectful way. Like, as happy as I am, I also realize, like, how insignificant I am in, like, the grand scheme of things, but I also know I'm very significant at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it's humbling.
There's
like,
7 billion people in the world.
Right.
You are one of 7 billion, well, 7, almost probably 8 billion at this point. Like, just think about that.
Right.
You're one person. Now, whether you're destined to do great things or not, you know, that's a completely different story.
Well, everybody is. You just gotta find your thing.
You just gotta find it. But, like, that really puts it in perspective for me. One of the things Gary Vee said, he's like one of the people I listen to, not necessarily to hear his positive energy, because I have my own, but, like, he said, if there's, like, a world chart and somehow they could rank happiness, you would be extremely surprised how high you are on the list.
Yeah.
Because, like, we have it better than the crackhead that's down there somewhere, or the homeless person. They have it better than people in Africa. Like, just because they're here. Like, you have to come to the realization that, like, there's so much out there.
There is so much out there. Yeah, there really is.
It's crazy.
I know. It really is.
Okay, so I know you gotta get going. Every episode, I like to end with something that you would like to tell the people that want to get to the position you're in, or just the people in general. Any advice for them?
Oh my gosh. I would say, here, I'll do, like, for the mindfulness, and then I want to touch one thing on Chiro too.
Okay.
I would say, don't give up. Like, that's so corny and it's so cheesy, but if you just keep showing up for yourself, and you turn off your phone, and you write down that you're an amazing person, and that you are here for a reason, and you were created so perfectly, and if you just start reminding yourself of that, no matter what day is thrown at you or what thoughts are thrown your way, that you were made to be here. And so I just hope people know that they are worth it, even when they feel like they don't have anybody. If you feel like you don't have anybody, reach out to me, because I'll be there for you.
Reach out to me too.
Yeah, like, I just want people to know that they're worthy. And then to circle back with Chiro, it is a kind of, I feel like it's always been here, but more people are like, well, I didn't have that and I turned out okay. And I just, like, want to say that's okay, but it is something here that's now. And I feel like everyone has a nervous system, and not every chiropractor focuses on that. And I also want to, like, throw out there, like, that's okay. Like, if you want to go to a sports chiropractor who focuses mainly on, like, rehab with, you know, adjustments thrown in and things, like, don't take anything away from that just because this is what I focus on. Because, like any profession, someone loves something so much, and they're going to go after it, and they're going to find that that is significant. And so I am here to uproot and lift up anyone, or just root on anyone that chose chiropractic, and no matter what realm that they do it in. And then this is just little snippet on like why it's important to me and the route that I decided to take with it. So if anyone has any other questions about it, I own Flourish Family Chiropractic.
Flourish Family Chiropractic.
Yep, and I love all humans, and I'm here to just meet you at where you're at in your healing journey, and not here to judge you or condemn you or make you feel less than because you're not at a certain part of life that you feel like you should. Literally here to empower and support whatever you want for yourself and for your families, because at the end of the day, I'm here to literally serve you. That's what I feel in my heart, and that's what I want to give to the people. So
gotta help the people.
Yeah, and I love what I do. I really, really love it.
One thing that really, I mean, I even got it from the chiropractic part.
Yeah.
Was like being perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Is like a great thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
No one is perfect.
Not a damn person.
You're gonna make mistakes. You're not gonna always do it right. But as long as you can buck up and say, you know what, I was wrong, and I'm gonna say I'm sorry. That's been something I really, really had to learn. Is I'm a really stubborn, hard-headed person, and I
remember.
Yeah, and I fight for what I believe in, and I fight for the underdog, and I will always do that, and because I want that for people. But at the same time, sometimes that reactivity I was talking about earlier got the best of me, where that's been a learned practice for me, because I've had to be able to listen longer, listen more, internalize, then react. And so that's been a really, really big thing I've had to work on. So I just think about how far it's been and stuff. I mean, shoot, everyone makes mistakes, and there's still moments where I'm like, oh crap, I reacted too quickly. Hold on, let me circle back. I apologize, you know, because you just got to be able to say I'm sorry and mean it whenever you do mess up.
Self-accountability. All right.
Yeah.
We thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I had a good time. Thank you for coming in. And we will see you guys next time.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.